city election candidate interviews. Hi, I'm Larry Hembry, publisher of the Loogootee Tribune, and I'm your host, and I'll ask each candidate 10 questions. So let's get started. Here is mayoral candidate question number 1. Why do you want to be mayor of Loogootee?
Well, Larry, that's a good question. And the best way to answer that is that during this time of uncertainty, I believe Loogootee needs a leader with experience and a productive, proactive record of service. If elected, I will ensure the everyday operations of the city work to make Loogootee a safer community and be sure to maintain contact with the citizens. In addition, I want to pursue economic opportunities presented by the construction of I-69 and to work to attract businesses and investments to Loogootee.
Question 2. What qualifies you to be mayor of Loogootee?
Well, Larry, as you know, I was elected mayor of Loogootee in 2000, and I'm quite proud of my record of service. During my tenure, the city was awarded millions of dollars in grants. The water system was modernized, the sewer system was modernized, and many projects were completed. Moreover, this was all done with a balanced budget. Prior to my service as mayor, I also served as a Loogootee city councilman during the mid to late 90s.
Question 3. What distinguishes you from other candidates?
Larry, I believe I am the candidate with the right kind of experience for Loogootee at this point in time. During my term as mayor, I made difficult decisions that were not always best, politically, decisions for me. However, I truly believe that they were the best decisions for the city of Loogootee and would never put my own political interest above the interests of the taxpayers of Loogootee. The best example of this kind of leadership would have to be the decision to upgrade the city's water and sewer systems early into my service as mayor. At the time, Loogootee was facing stiff penalties and fines for being out of compliance in our wastewater system, and then later on, when we went forward with the rehabilitation of the water system, we actually had some water towers out there, not water towers, but our pump stations out in the field. We actually had one that was on the verge of collapse. So I believe that this needed to be done, and I paid a political price for doing so. However, in the years since Loogootee upgraded its water and sewer systems, many other towns and cities have struggled to do the same thing. Considering the economic realities of the present day, I'm quite proud that I was able to promote this upgrade at a time in which funds from the federal government were available and use this for this transition. If we had not made this difficult decision when we did, the city would be now trying to make these very upgrades at a time in which funds are even harder to come by with the economic situation we're in at this particular time.
Question 4. What do you feel is the biggest problem Loogootee faces, and if elected, how do you plan to handle this situation?
Well, right now I feel like we have several problems that we're going to be facing as we go forward in the new year and even during this particular time of year. But one of the biggest problems that Loogootee is going to be facing, and probably one of the single most pressing issues at this point, is maintaining our current services and improving upon the services now offered in the fact of significant budget cuts and revenue shortfalls, which all communities are facing. We are a small community and have a relatively small tax base. It is imperative for city officials to seek for any and all outside necessary funding for improvements for our community. I have experience in getting this done. During my administration, I was able to secure over $2 million from external sources for projects that directly benefited the citizens of Loogootee and made the city's financial reality more manageable. And those funds came for the sidewalks, upgrades of the water system, upgrades of the wastewater systems. And without those, we would have been a lot harder to deal with when it came to getting our projects done. It just would have been almost impossible to even try to do anything, and it would have been more of a burden to the taxpayers of Loogootee. And we were trying to do that to where it wouldn't affect the citizens of Loogootee at that particular time any worse than what it was.
Question 5. How do you plan to improve or maintain Loogootee?
When it comes to improving or maintaining Loogootee, I believe a mayor needs to be proactive rather than reactive, and the council needs to be right there with us. And we need to be working together to get these things done. We need to be looking ahead to the trends and realities that we're dealing with in the coming years. For example, while it may be tempting to delay basic maintenance of roads, utilities, and any type of upgrades, in the interest of saving some money in the short run, doing so can actually cost the city much more money in the long run as repairs become costlier than they need to be. It's not cost effective to do that, and I believe that we all need to work together to make sure that we're getting the best buck for our money and for the citizens of Loogootee.
Question 6. How do you plan to deal with the ever-shrinking budget?
Larry, I believe when dealing with an ever-shrinking budget, the very first thing that I would like to see us do is to sit down with the mayor, clerk, treasurer, city council, and to examine our fiscal order of the operations of the city of Loogootee. I believe we should identify efficiencies and inefficiencies and work together to streamline operations to bring a greater value to the taxpayers of Loogootee. We must strive to provide greater value to the taxpayers. Given the present economic environment, this must be done as soon as possible.
Question 7. Do you currently have any plans to bring more business into Loogootee?
Well, right now, I think every small community, large community, every community across the country is trying to, get businesses in. You see them closing plants and people being unemployed. It's one of the hardest times right now with unemployment as high as it is. I think right now here in Martin County, it's 7%, somewhere in there as far as unemployment. So I think in the long run issue facing Loogootee is working to take advantage of the change in regional economics. With the construction of Interstate 69, we now must work harder than ever to secure the interest of business wanting to invest in our community. Doing this will improve the area's employment situation, will make us less vulnerable to economic downturns in the future. I'm prepared to explore possibilities that will foster external investment into our community. This is another one of those times where we need to be working with our economic development. We need to work with our Chamber of Commerce. There's just a lot of things going on right now, and we can't afford to sit still. We need to be, where I went back to earlier, we'd be proactive instead of reactive, and we don't want to miss the bus on this upcoming I-69 expansion.
And our last mayoral candidate question, question 8. Anything else the voters need to know about you?
As I look back on what we were able to accomplish during our 4-year term as mayor, and we had a lot of things that went on during that time, and it's easy to sit back and look and say, well, you could have done this, you could have done that, but we did what needed to be done at the time. I took that responsibility, I took it personal, that this was what was best for our community. I have kids growing up here, I have grandkids that are growing up here, and I know we've made it a better place for them. I know that whenever I left office, we had the city in a lot better shape than what it was when I was in office, even when I was during the council. Our water, sewer department, and even the general budget was in good shape. Now I can't say that. Our water department, I understand is hurting a little bit, more than a little bit. But I don't want to see Loogootee fall back into where it was 8 years ago or 12 years ago prior to me taking office. The citizens of Loogootee can't afford that. None of us can afford that. And I'm just hoping that the voter will consider my record as mayor and vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thanks again for watching, and remember to vote on May the 3rd. For the Loogootee Tribune and the LoogooteeTribune.com, I'm Larry Hembry.